Hello guys, today we're going to talk about the group policies and how do they work and how do they apply. It will be different points that we talk about, so just bear with me and watch the videos. So the first of all, if we want to get the group policy, we go to the tools option, we go to group policy management, and this is where we can see all our group policy. There is general stuff that you need to know about the group policy. First of all, under your domain, all your group policy will be done under group policy objects. When you go in here, this is where you find all the group policy that you created. You cannot create folders, you cannot sort them just like this, you can sort them by the name, of course. That's why it's very important to follow a proper naming convention, so it will be easier for you to find what you are looking for. Now, to start a new group policy, I right click, I say new, they ask me what's the name of the group policy, I'll say test one. I press OK. Now I got my test one group policy in here. Good. Now, if I want to modify the group policy or set it up or do the settings of that group policy, I right click on that, I'll go to edit. In edit, this is where I set up everything related to the computer configuration and everything related to the user configuration, whatever the options are here, and we will show more details of that later. Now, assuming I done the settings, assuming I done the work now that group policy is not applied to any organization unit or any OU yet. I have to go and apply that. To do that, I have to look at my OU instruction here. I have my top OU as usual. Underneath it, I have all these OUs. So let's say I want to apply this policy, whatever that policy is, to the employees of the HR department. So under the users, I have the HR department. I will right click on that and click on something called link existing GPO. When I click on that, I will see all the GPOs and I will look for mine, and here is test one. I click on it, I click OK. Now test one is linked to this OU, which means it will get applied on that OU. Good. So that the original OU is still here. This is just a link here. I can apply the same group policy to two different OUs. So I want to apply it to the HR folder under user and again to the HR folder under computer. Right click, link group policy, test. So I can apply it for more than once. I can put it in here, I can put it in here, as much as I want. So when I go click on it here, it will show me that this group policy is applied to the HR under or the domain, top user HR, or the computers HR. So this is how can I see where the group policy applied, and this is where the group policy goes in here. The most important part about the group policy when we want to apply it is a very important principle, which is inheritance. Good. What does that mean? Let's say I want to remove this test from here. Let's say delete. Good. I want to remove it. Now, if I have different group policies like this, I have a group policy here to make the background blue. I have a group policy to make the background green. I have the group policy to make the background red. Good. So let's say I came to computers and apply here, linked here, the group policy to make the computer blue. When I do this, that means every single thing, whether it's a computer or a user, under this OU, the computers and all the sub-OUs will get this group policy. So it's applied to the computer OU and every single OU inside it. I don't want to say underneath it because, let's be realistic, users is not underneath computer, it's next to it. So inside it, so it will apply to all this stuff. Then I'm going to apply to the top OU the group policy that will give me the green background. And then I'm going to apply to the lab OU, good, the group policy that will give me red. So right now, I have three group policies are applied like this. And each one of them give the injection or give the group policy to everything inside it. Usually that's no problem if there is no conflict, but what happens if there is conflict? What's the conflict? In our scenario, the first group policy is telling me make your background picture green. The other one says make it blue, the third one make it red. So assuming my PC is already in lab 1, what does that mean? Do I get a green? Do I get blue? Do I get red? The rule with the group policy, it's simple. You will get to your closest OU first. You see your closest OU. It will start applying from the top. So the first OU, the first group policy that will apply are the local group policy in this local machine, then the forest, then the domain, then the OU, then the sub OU. So for you to understand it better, you look from here and up. Which one is the closest to you? The closest one to me is red. That means the system will come from top, says green, okay, green, then blue, okay, so then blue, it's not green, it's blue anymore. Then, oh, it's not blue, it's red. So the closest one to you is the one that will be actually effective on your system. So in that case, all the computer in lab 1 will get the red background. Good. So that's the option that we are talking about here. How the power of these, or how the conflict of these things happen. This is how the conflict happen. It will go from down up. Down is the most powerful one. Good. So that's in case there is this option. Good. There's another very important concept other than the inheritance now. Good. It's the, sorry, not the inheritance. We'll talk about the inheritance later. This is the option of which one has more priority. The other concept is what we call it inheritance. So let me explain this to you again. I'm going to apply to the top OU a group policy that is called create a folder AA. So this is a group policy that will create on the C drive a folder called AA. I'll go to the computers, I'll apply another group policy that will create a folder called BB. And then another one on the lab level that will create a folder called CC. So now these three group policies, the AA, the BB, the CC, there is no conflict between them. Meaning my lab 1 will do the CC. There is nothing wrong with that. We'll do the BB, we'll do the AA. So it will end up with 3 folders. None of these 3 group policies are conflicting each other. You got the point with the conflict? The conflict is something like, says, give permission to do this, and then it says, don't give the permission to do this. This is where you have the conflict. User can put the computer to sleep after 15 minutes. User can put the computer to sleep after 5 minutes. This is where the conflict comes. But if you says create a folder here or change the color here or do this there and it's the other one doesn't conflict with it, there is no conflict. Now lab 1 will apply this and this and this. Good. And this is the idea of not just getting the own OU group policy, he's getting also the group policy from his father and his grandfather. This is what we call it inheritance. Now, in some cases, we might not need not to do the inheritance. I'm creating here a special lab. That's a special lab that have very special equipment. And I don't want it to get all the group policies from the group above. I want this very special, unique situation here. And I want to make sure it's not affected by whatever group policy I have on top. I can click on the OU itself. And there is an option here called block inheritance. When I says block inheritance, what does that mean? That means now lab 2 computers, every computer or every object in lab 2 will not inherit the group policy from the group above. Which means if I turn on if I have a computer in this and a computer in this and I turn on the one, this one will have the folder CC, BB, and AA, while lab 2 will have no folders because it doesn't want to inherit any of these items. So he doesn't inherit his item. He doesn't listen to his grandfather or father or great-great-grandfather. This is what we call stop inheritance. There is now another option where sometimes the group policy is very, very critical. You want to prevent the OUs from stopping inheritance for that specific permission. In that case, let's say I'm talking about the great folder PP. I right-click on it, and there's an option called enforce on all the domain. So even when you mark one of those group policy, and you notice here the enforce shows only when you click on the group policy, not when you click on the folder. So when you click on the group policy and you say enforce it, what does that mean? That means even if somebody underneath it or somebody in their children says, I don't want to inherit, I don't care about him saying that I don't want to inherit, I will let you inherit. I will apply that even if you said you don't want it. So it will give this extra power on top of that. So now, in this scenario, lab number 1 will have AA, BB, and CC folders, while lab number 2 will have the BB folder only, because the CC is not enforced. So lab number 2 will says, I don't want you, I don't inherit stuff. The AA is not enforced, so lab number 2 says, I don't want you, I'm not inheriting stuff. But the BB is enforced. So even he says, I don't want you, the BB says, I'm going to do it for you. Don't talk. Okay? So this is what we call it about block inheritance and enforce. So it's like enforce mean even if the guy says I don't want to inherit, you will let him inherit. So this is the trick that you can use to control or manage your policy. Good. There is some examples that we need to talk about, and just to give you the idea. So for example, right now, I can ask you a question like this. I have a computer in lab 1, I have a computer in lab 2. Tell me what is the background color of each of those two computers, and tell me what is the folders on the C drive for each of those computers. So for lab 1, it's not blocking inheritance, so she will inherit everything on top. And we will go from down up, as we said. The one that's in down has more power. So this one make it green, this one make it blue, this one make it red, so that red will apply. So the background on BC1 will be red. Now this one is telling him make a folder called C, make a folder called B, make a folder called A. Great, thank you very much. I'll create the 3 folder. So lab 1 will have the 3 folders and will have the red. We look at lab number 2. Lab number 2 says I don't want to inherit anything. So any of those OUs that do not have the lock for being enforced, this one has the lock for enforced, this one doesn't. So any of those OUs that do not have the lock, that means we will not inherit you. I won't even see you. So that lab 2 will not see this, will not see this, will not see this, will not see this, will not see, will not see. He only sees this. So he only will get the blue background. Oh, sorry. He'll get the BB folder. Good? He only get the BB folder. He doesn't get anything because all of the other things are not enforced. And he says, I don't want to see you if you are not enforced. Good? So this is the very good example. And this is where you guys need to understand it clearly, because that's the whole idea behind the group policy and troubleshooting the group policy, is to understand what is applying and why. So most probably I will be asking this question a lot. I'll put you group policies like this, and I will tell you, what does this computer have? Good. Now under user here, what group policy applies to the user under finance? You look under finance, users, computers, and users are on the same level. So whatever is here, it doesn't affect it. So they go up all the way to the top. These 3 are affecting it only. These 1 here are in different branch, they don't affect it. So that's in general what inheritance option is and what is the priority of applying. Hopefully that is clear enough.